I don't know what was going on with Eva's hair today. They were really going for a different look, but it was giving Star Trek to me. What is up, Beyond the Gates fans? We have made it to the beginning of a Winterfest, which they've been building towards for several weeks now, and I don't know if it's going to be a big hit like I'm hoping, but it is what it is, I guess. Today's episode was more about the last minute preparation for Winterfest, and for a Friday episode, I wouldn't call it filler Friday like I usually do. I do feel like we at least had the final build today. There was actually a lot going on in today's episode, a lot of different characters. Not necessarily anything too dramatic, but some decent character-driven stuff today, I will say. Leslie, of course, wants Eva to look her best for her first Winterfest that she's going to with her father. Leslie bought her some new attire. I don't know what was going on with Eva's hair today. They were really going for a different look, but it was giving Star Trek to me. When Leslie gave her dress for Winterfest, I don't really know if that was a hit either. It kind of just looked like she was going clubbing, I would say. But it's still, I feel like I see the vision with the look for Eva. It was giving more comic book, though, to me. Eva brought up Samantha's nonprofit idea to Leslie today, and Leslie, with her now endless money, now does seem game to go ahead with that idea, put money towards that. She wants her name front and center, though, if they go through with that. Of course, Leslie wants everyone to know that she is a do-gooder too. Ted ended up showing up. This came after Ted finally did confront Tomas. We talked about this, I think, last week, that Ted was confronting Izaiah about him possibly being flirty with Eva when he needs to have a confrontation with Tamas, who slept with both of his daughters. So that finally happened today. That was good to see. That's another decent step in the right direction for the Ted character, maybe making him a little bit better father there, because I do think Tamas needed to be confronted. I didn't really buy Tamas's excuses for what happened, saying he was embarrassed. I mean, it's the typical emotionless response from Tamas that we always see. Very, very robotic, per usual. He's saying that he really loves Kat, and by the end of the episode, he did want to make a big decision with Kat, which we will get to. But yeah, then after that, Ted went to pick up Eva to take her to Winterfest. And of course, Ted even offered to give Leslie a ride, and that earned him a kiss on the cheek from Leslie. The show's got to do better with the Ted and Leslie relationship, because the way they have written it so far makes Ted look bad after everything Leslie did when she came back to town at the start of this series. So I do wish, if they're still going to go there with Ted and Leslie, it was in a way that didn't make that character look so bad. But that is the way he always looked. He's very dumbed down every time it comes to anything that involves Leslie. Who to move on to? There's a lot of different characters to talk about today. We even had Mona and Laura have a conversation with them doing last minute prep for Winterfest, and Laura, of course, being a little afraid that Leslie is going to be there, and how Leslie, bringing up the fact that Leslie has basically been bullying her because Leslie knows she's a reminder of what she did to her months and months and months ago, that I think a lot of fans were hoping might finally be resolved at Winterfest, but judging by next week's preview, I don't think Leslie is going to be taking the rap for anything that happened to Laura at Winterfest. But they are keeping Laura a part of the story, so it eventually has to come out. That is That's the way I see it, because Laura is still a part of the story. And then we had Vernon meeting with Marcel at the beginning of the episode, because Marcel is in charge of security for Winterfest. His one and only job is to keep his eye on Leslie, which he likes to have his eyes on Leslie. So that seems like an easy job for Marcel at Winterfest. And the thing that Vernon wants is that he wants Leslie to think that Marcel is just a guest at Winterfest and not actually in charge of security. So he's kind of going undercover with Leslie next week. So I am kind of interested to see how that plays out. Now, of course, this is Anita's big planned event, and we start the episode with her reuniting with her articulates, Sharon and Tracy. Of course, Sharon and Vernon have been sneaking around lately, but they also had some conversations about Devon from Young and the Restless, who is the one putting together their record deal. And I always like the shout out to the character of Nil from Young and the Restless. I would love a shout out to Drusilla too, but what are you going to do? But yeah, today's episode was more of Sharon alluding to the fact that something's going on between her and Vernon, looking at the picture of Anita and Vernon together. Anita also did tell them that Leslie is Barbara's daughter, so they had to learn that nugget of information too. Once they all arrive to Winterfest, Vernon and Sharon sneak away, and Tracy seemed to see them sneaking away to have a conversation together. I think that whoever came up with this story on the writing team needs to not be involved with soap operas because it's kind of a lose-lose situation. Either they wrote it so that Vernon is actually having an affair and it's just redundant because they've already done that with 2 other Dupree men this season, or it's just this big plot so that Vernon can sing at Winterfest. And I kind of feel like that's going to be the big reveal of Winterfest. And that's a dud. That is not a dramatic thing. So while I like that the show has kind of built up to another event, because I do like when soap operas do events, I feel like they didn't have a good storyline coming into this one, because the anniversary reveal back in May, still the best week of episodes for this show. But to pull off a really good dramatic big event, you have to have a strong story coming in, and I don't really think that they did. Lastly, let's talk about Nicole and Kat's conversation, where Kat was there with her mom and with Naomi, asking them if they think she is self-centered. I do think for once the show tried to do a better job of giving us a better look into the Kat character, rather than just having her in every episode being obsessed with Eva and wanting Eva to go down and not wanting the rest of her family members to be involved with Eva. Even just yesterday, she was ridiculous with Samantha, of all people. Today, I felt like she got to have a good rant about her family later in the episode, because Nicole and Naomi were talking about how, once again, she needs to see Eva as her sister, not even just half-sister. They are family. They're really trying to preach that to Kat. And so Kat doesn't even want to go to Winterfest because she feels like Ted is going with Eva, and that is just going to be all about Eva. And so this upsets Nicole, because this is the big family event and Kat's not going to going. So Nicole goes so far as to say that answers Kat's question about if she is self-centered. And I didn't actually find that fair. You know, I will drag the Kat character when I feel like she needs to be dragged. But I feel like today they finally did a good thing by showing that maybe the family is a little too much when it comes to Kat, and not wanting her to have her own feelings with the situation and not just kind of be stoic like the rest of the family. And frankly, be fake like the rest of the family. I've been calling out the Duprees for being fake since day one almost. I feel like very early on, the first week or two, we got to see the total hypocrisy of the family as a whole. And so when Kat then goes to Tomas later in the episode and rants to him about her family and how the Duprees always want her and everyone to just have no feelings and just go show face at all these events, she's not wrong. She was telling the truth here, and she does feel like this event is going to be all about Eva, and nobody will even realize she's not there or gone. And so Tomas tries to, I guess, console her for once, but he wants to take a big step in their relationship and move in together, which isn't good. I don't like this relationship. There's no chemistry there. I guess their sex life is better, but outside of that, I don't really know what they have going for them. So I don't like them going into that next step. And Kat looked a little concerned about that too. I don't know. I'm still team Tomas needs to be off the show in the new year, but we'll see if we're lucky with that. The only other thing that really happened today was Izaiah and Jacob had a conversation. They had a conversation about Eva. Jacob told Izaiah that Eva's trouble and wonders if that's really the appeal to Izaiah. Jacob tried to get Izaiah to go to Winterfest, but he didn't want to, or at least that's what he said. When Jacob went to Winterfest, he ended up running into Marcel, finding it odd that it's usually like a rookie doing one of these security for these events. So, we still have that tension between Jacob and Marcel, but Jacob's so dumb, he'll never figure anything out. But then Izaiah did end up at Winterfest, happy to see Eva, both of them happy to see each other. And so I guess this will actually count as their second date, maybe, if they spend some time together at Winterfest. All in all, I'm glad Winterfest has finally started. I don't really think it's going to have some really dramatic payoff, because judging by next week's preview, I think we're only going to have another episode or two of Winterfest. So I really think the big reveal for Winterfest is just that Vernon's going to be able to sing for Anita or sing with Anita. And that's not exactly riveting to me personally. But I did read that yesterday's character that Nicole saw and that Shanice tried to hook Nicole up with was indeed the character that will be played by Greg Vaughn. And he will debut on Monday's episode, I believe. So I am looking forward to that. Greg Vaughn coming over from other soap roles to make his debut on Beyond the Gates. Next week's preview also shows us that Bill will finally have effects of the poison. It doesn't look like it's going to happen at Winterfest necessarily, but right after Winterfest. So at least that's finally moving along. All in all, this week was decent, I guess. I'm still hoping the show can kind of figure out a way to make their stories either well written or at least more dramatic. That's what I'm hoping from the show, because I don't think these stories about Vernon having an affair or some sort of fake out that he's might be having an affair but he's really just planning a surprise for Anita is what the show needs to be putting time into. They need to be building actual dramatic storylines. It is a soap opera at the end of the day, and I really would like this show to have another year beyond just 2 years on air, and they have an upward battle, not just because it's a soap opera, but because it is a mostly black cast on Paramount, in a Paramount company, in a TV landscape that is not doing well overall. So let's try and get better writing in the new year. That is my New Year's hope for this show. But I still think right now it's fine. It's the best American soap opera still. That's not really saying much comparing the other ones, though, which I will talk about on Sunday on Soap Opera Sunday. So I'll see you all on Sunday. I'll see the rest of you Beyond the Gates fans on Monday. You could also check out the Patreon, patreon.com/OCGTV, posting classic soap opera episodes.